So about 3 weeks ago, you all watched me plant some seeds for our winter garden. I'm gonna spin you around and show you what they look like at this point, and show you some that I started about a week ago. And I'm gonna start planting some of them actually. So a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, you watched me plant the spinach, 2 flats of lettuce, and then this flat here of cauliflower, kale, and Swiss chard. You saw me do those right after we got back from the Homesteaders United Jamboree. And then about a week ago, I planted some peas and some more lettuce and some more spinach and kale. And the peas are actually looking really good. I'll probably start planting those. And the reason I have these on top of those is to keep, well, it doesn't really keep per se, but it's to keep the chipmunks and squirrels and mice out of our seeds in our greenhouse. The lettuce coming up, I'll let them on them for now. And the spinach and kale is also coming up, and I'll take it off of those ones because they're looking really good. So the peas I'll probably plant, and these 2 lettuces definitely going in the ground here shortly. So the last time you saw this bed down here in the greenhouse, it had beets in it, but now they are gone. So the beets has been fully harvested, and we still have lettuce in there, and it's pretty much done for too. I may let it in there for a little while yet to see if it actually does produce anything, but I'd say it's pretty well done. I'm not too concerned about it. There's some funky looking mushroom in there. I have no idea what kind it is. I'm not going to bother with it. It's fine where it's at. I wish I knew mushrooms well enough to know if that was edible or not, but I don't. So I'll put these cattle panels up. I don't know when it was, the other day. And I did that so that the peas would have something to trellis up. So we'll put the peas will go right along that edge, and then the lettuce will start back here in that back corner. And I'll probably put 3 rows in until I run out of them 2 flats. So one thing you want to make sure of before you plant any transplants is make sure that they're good and watered really well, and make sure that the soil you're going to plug them into is good and watered, and they both are. They're just watered this in a couple minutes ago. As you can see, it's still wet. You can see the ground covers still wet. And I just watered these in probably a half hour, 45 minutes ago. So the peas aren't quite big enough to plant yet. We're going to plant those over here, right in that area. And then I'm just putting lettuce holes in for lettuce now, which you've seen her popping out. Two flats won't go real far down through here, but we got Swiss chard and cauliflower to put in this garden too. The lettuce plugs look pretty good. They could have been in there a little bit longer. And I've got the holes poked, as you've seen. You see me poke some. So with the holes in there, and how good that shows up on camera, you just shove them down in, and then repeat. And don't worry about it being too deep, because it's not going to hurt the thing at all. And I do believe today is the first day of fall, so this is literally our fall garden. It'll be in all winter, but it's our fall garden. So we got about another month or so of this stuff growing, and after that it'll stop. It won't grow no more through the winter. There's not enough daylight hours until after it'll start growing again. Then again in early February, we'll get enough daylight hours for it to start growing again, at least here. If you're further south, you'll have a little bit longer daylight hours than we do through those months, but further north you'll have less. So just gotta do what you gotta do.
There you can really see the holes.
So once we get all these put in, we'll water these in good, and I'll give them a good drink of fish emulsion, and that'll be the only fertilizer they get until they come out. So we got all the lettuce in. It actually went a little further than I thought it would. It went probably right at half, right here to be the middle, and we're probably 1.5 feet behind it, so it almost went to the center. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to put in some cauliflower, but it's going in down here where this lettuce is, and that fancy mushroom. So to get rid of the lettuce, and I know this won't get rid of the lettuce, all I do is cut it to the ground. Just like that. And you'll get some that'll come back. Most of it won't. Some of it will. This lettuce here has definitely seen its better days. Wow, nasty. While I was cutting out the lettuce, she was popping out the cauliflower starts, and they are some pretty nice looking starts. They could have been in there a little longer, but they're pretty nice. So for these, the holes that you see me poke for the lettuce are about every 4 inches in all directions, 3 to 4 inches in all directions. These will be only 2, one here and one here, about 1.5 feet apart in all directions. So we may not use all these, but we may. It's hard to say. So I'm going to start poking holes. This ground down here is a lot harder than the ground up on the other end. And that's probably why the lettuce didn't grow as good as it could have down here. And we will keep, the main reason we keep the roots in the ground on the lettuce or any other plant, the only thing we pull out is stuff that is roots, not shoots. And by a shoot, I mean something that comes up out of the ground. We never pull them. The reason is because they'll rot in the ground And right now there's still living root that's in the soil, and all the soil microbes are still feeding it and on it. So they'll rot in place. And that's why we don't cut them out. They'll rot there, and man, that right there's a hard spot now, I'm telling you what. Wowzer. I'm not sure how many we started. That one there, if it goes, great. If it doesn't, it's not that big a deal. That mushroom that was there, I'm not sure what kind it was, so I wore gloves to pick it up. Because if it's poisonous, I don't want it on my skin. This ground's a lot harder, so they won't be as easy to put in as the lettuce was, but they'll still grow just fine. And once we get these in, we'll see how much room we have left. We have some Swiss chard, but I'm not sure I'm going to plant any of that. We may or we may not. I'm not sure. We may put in some of the kale instead of this chard, because the kale, we know we like it and it does sell. Chard, I'm not a big fan of it, and it doesn't sell as good as the kale does. We've got everything planted, and now I'm just going to give it a watering. Like I said at the beginning of the video, everything needs to be watered before you start. Then water it in good again afterwards. Not necessarily good, because it's... But I'm giving it a decent drink. And you have to do that for transplant shock. And we always do this when we transplant. We always water the soil, make sure our plugs is good and wet, and we water in afterwards. And as soon as I'm done watering, then I will, when we put spinach in here, we didn't talk about that, but we finished it up with spinach.
Garden is filled.
This garden bed is filled. Is all this going to last us till spring? Probably not. The lettuce and the Swiss chard probably won't make it till spring. The chard, I don't know that it'll, and the cauliflower, I know won't either. The chard and cauliflower, I'm not sure it's going to make it in here when it gets cold. And the lettuce, I figure it'll probably bolt before we get to spring. The spinach, I'm pretty sure probably will make it all year long. But we can always plug in some new lettuce or new kale or new whatever.
Now this stuff here is great.
Yeah, this is good, but this thing right here is amazing. You ain't got to pump it. It's got a...
Oh, yeah.
It's got a battery pump. You just charge it every so often. Just plug it in. Charge it. No, I can't put the thing back in. Oh, well. And then just turn it on, and whenever it loses pressure, we'll kick on and pump. Works good.
Got it. I think I got it off of Amazon.
I think so. We got 2 of these, actually.
The first one worked so good, I got another one.
Yeah. Whew, this stuff stinks. I don't know if anybody's ever sprayed this stuff before, but it does stink. Now it just kicked on. And this will be the last time these get fertilizer. We won't, well, I shouldn't say that. We may fertilize them again in a week or 2 with fish emulsion. But once we start harvesting, we'll not spray this stinking stuff on this. The cauliflower, we'll probably fertilize it a few times. The chard, whatever. I just turned it off because we're done. We are done. So our fall garden is in on the first day of fall. Imagine that.
Woohoo!
Wee-hee! So hopefully everybody learned something. If not, at least hopefully you hung out and enjoyed it. It was entertaining for you or whatever. I know I enjoy this right here. Planting stuff, getting stuff in the ground. That doesn't matter to me what time of year it is. I love this. This is the best part of what we do is planting, to me. I don't mind harvesting, but planting, I truly enjoy that and getting beds ready. I would much rather do than anything else we do. As far as the business side of things, I despise getting on the computer and doing all that work, but somebody has to. Somebody has to, and she won't, so I have to.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, but this here's the best part. To me, I enjoy growing stuff. But anyways, that's going to wrap this video up. We are going to plant a bunch more stuff in our cattle panel, which we showed you in our last video. Not in the last video we did, but the video whenever we was doing the seeds. We planted most everything we planted that day in here, seed wise. Then we got left is a little bit of kale and some spinach. Other than that, it's all in here. Anyhow, hopefully you learned something. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.
See ya.